Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. So today we are going to start a new topic about measurements of microwave engineering. In this field, in the field of microwave engineering, there occurs many applications. In the field of microwave engineering, there occurs many applications, as already stated in the first chapter. Hence, while using different applications, Hence, while using different applications, we often come across the need of measuring different values such as power, attenuation, phase shift, VSWR, impedance, and so on for effective uses. So, using different applications, we often come across the need of measuring different values such as power attenuation, phase shift, VSWR, impedance, and so on for effective uses. So in this chapter, let us take a look at the different measurements techniques. The first one is the measurement of power. The first one is measurement of power. The microwave power measured is the average power at any position in waveguide. In waveguide. The microwave power measure is the average power at any position in waveguide. Power measurement can be of three types. The first one is measurement of low power. Measurement of low power. The range for that measurement of low power is 0.01 milliwatts to 10 milliwatts. 10 milliwatts. For, exa for example, I will need to take an example for that measuring of low power. So in the biometric techniques, bolometric techniques. Next, measurement of medium power. What is the range of medium power? 10 milliwatts to 1 watt. The best example for that is calorimeter. Calorimeter technique. Next, the measurement of high power, which is greater than 10 watts. The range for that is 10 greater than 10 watts. The best example for that is calorimeter, wattmeter. Let us go through them in detail for each and every one. We need to see that measurement of first low power. First we need to take this one, measurement of low power. Okay, measurement of low power. The measurement of microwave power around 0.01 milliwatts to 10 milliwatts can be understood as a measurement of low power. Example is bolometer. Bolometer is a device. Bolometer is a device which is used for low microwave power measurements. Bolometer is a device which is used for low microwave power measurements. The element used in bolometer could be of a positive or negative temperature coefficient. The bolometer is a device which is used for low microwave power measurements. The element used in bolometer could be of either positive or negative temperature coefficient. For example, a barometer has a positive temperature coefficient whose resistance increases with increasing in temperature. Next, thermistor. Thermistor has negative temperature coefficient. So you need to take two examples for positive and negative temperature coefficients. Thermistor has a negative temperature coefficient whose resistance decreases with the increasing in temperature. So the first one, positive temperature coefficient. The best example for that is barometer. Has a positive temperature coefficient whose resistance increases with the increasing in temperature value. Next, for a negative temperature coefficient, thermistor has a negative temperature coefficient whose resistance decreases with the increase in temperature. So any of them can be used in bolometer. Any of them, either this thermistor or barometer. So any of them can be used in bolometer, but the change in resistance, is proportional to microwave power applied for measurement. So this bolometer is used in a bridge of arms. This bolometer is used, see the diagram. This bolometer, this is the diagram for bolometer. This bolometer is used in a bridge of the arms. We have arms here, see, these are the arms. R1, R2, R3 and R4. These are four arms. As one, so that any imbalance caused from these four arms, if the bridge is balanced, then we will get it the resistance value or output value. Okay, until that you need to vary the either variable resistor or else with the help of some parameter you need to vary until getting bridge is in balanced condition. Okay, so it means that you need to assume that a bridge of arms has one, so that any imbalance caused which will be affecting the output value. If the bridge is in balance, we will get exact output from the bridge, or else we will get it some noisy output. Okay, a typical example of a bridge circuit using a bolometer, which is shown in this figure. So the millimeter, sorry, here we have ammeter, right? See, in this diagram we have ammeter, milliammeter. It gives the value of the current flowing. This milliammeter here gives the value of the current flowing. The battery is available here. The battery is variable, which is varied to obtain balance. When an imbalance is caused by the behavior of the bolometer, with the help of this battery, you need to vary the battery value, then you will get until getting the balance condition inside in the bridge, then you will get exact output. Alright, if it is imbalanced cost, which affects the output value. So this adjustment which is made in DC battery voltage, this adjustment which is made in DC battery voltage is proportional to the microwave power. So if adjustment is going on with the help of DC battery, with the help of that battery, what will happen? DC battery voltage is proportional to this microwave power. If you increasing this, by default this power also increases. So the power handling capacity of this circuit is limited. The power handling capacity of this circuit is limited. Okay, you need to remember, if the arms of this bridge, here we have a 4 arms, right? Okay, for this, so that any imbalance caused is happening or caused which affects the output value. How to overcome this? With the help of varying this variable battery, you need to vary the value with the help of this only supply voltage. You will get it the exact output from this bridge circuit. If the battery value or DC battery voltage is increases, what will happen? The microwave power will also increases. These two are in proportional. This means that which is made in DC battery voltage is proportional to the microwave power, and the power handling capacity of this circuit is limited. Next, measurement of medium power. Measurement of medium power. The measurement of microwave power, you need to see from that only. We have in the first slide, right? You need to remember. The measurement of medium power is around 10 milliwatt, 1 watt. Can be understood as the measurement of medium power. A special load is employed which usually maintains a certain value of a specific heat. A special load is employed which usually maintains a certain value of a specific heat. The power to be measured is applied its input which proportionally changes the output temperature of the load that it already maintains. The power to be measured which is applied at its input which proportionally changes the output temperature of the load that it already maintains. The difference in temperature rises which specifies the input microwave power to the load. Specifies the input microwave power to the load. The difference in the temperature rise specifies the input microwave power to the load. The bridge balance technique is used here to get the output. The heat transfer method is used for measurement of power, which is a calorimetric technique. Next, measurement of high power. The measurement of microwave power, the measurement of microwave power around 10 watts to 50 kilowatts. Because that reason you need to call this the measurement of high power. Can be understood as the measurement of high power. Why means we have a 10 watts to 50 kilowatts. If you have a that range microwave power signal means which is relates to measurement of high power. The high microwave power is normally measured by calorimetric watts meter, which can be of dry and flow type, which can be of dry and flow type. Coming to the first dry type. The dry type is named so as it is a coaxial cable which is filled with dielectric of high hysteresis losses, whereas the flow type is named so as it uses water or oil or some liquid which is a good absorber of microwaves. The first one is the dry type is named so as it uses a coaxial cable which is filled with dielectric of high hysteresis losses, whereas in the flow type is named so as it uses water, oil or some liquid which is a good absorber of microwaves. So the change in temperature of the liquid, so in the flow type, the change in temperature of the liquid before and after entering the load. The change in the temperature of the liquid before and after entering the load is taken for the calibration of values. Calibration of values. So the limitation in this method are like flow determination, calibration and thermal inertia and so on. Measurement of attenuation. Measurement of attenuation. Sorry, before that first we need to high power viral. Measurement of attenuation. In practically or in the practice, microwave components and devices often provide some attenuation. The amount of attenuation offered can be measured in two ways. They are power ratio method and RF substitution method. The amount of attenuation offered can be measured in two ways. They are power ratio method and RF substitution method. Coming to attenuation, attenuation is the ratio of input power to the output power. Attenuation is defined as the ratio of input power to the output power and is normally expressed in decibels and is normally expressed in decibels. Therefore, attenuation in decibels is equals to 10 log input power divided by output power. Input power divided by output power. Whereas P in means input power and P out is output power, which gives the value of attenuation. These two gives the value of attenuation. You need to remember, attenuation is the ratio of input power to the output power and is normally expressed in decibels. Attenuation in decibels is equals to 10 log input power divided by output power. Next is the power ratio method. We have two ways for measuring the amount of attenuation. Power ratio method. So in this method, the measurement of attenuation takes place in two steps. In this method, the measurement of attenuation takes place in two steps. The step one is the input and output powers of the whole microwave bench. The input and output power of the whole microwave bench is done without the device whose attenuation has to be calculated. Step 1 is the input and output power of the whole microwave bench is done without the device whose attenuation has to be calculated. Coming to step 2. The input and output power of the whole microwave bench is done with the device whose attenuation has to be calculated. The step 1 is without the device whose attenuation has to be calculated. Step 2, with the device whose attenuation has to be calculated. Okay, the ratio of these powers when compared, which gives the value of attenuation. This gives the value of attenuation. So we discussed just we have a two power ratio method. In this we have two steps, right? The step 1 is power ratio method without the device whose attenuation has to be calculated. This is the diagram C. In this, we don't have a device whose attenuation is to be measured. This is the power ratio method, step 1. This is the step 2. First you need to observe step 1. What type of blocks we have or how many blocks we have, that you need to concentrate first. Here we have microwave source, attenuator, frequency meter, slotted line. For that we have a crystal detector, thermistor mount, power meter. After that we have termination. In the step 1 power ratio method, this is without the device whose attenuation has to be calculated. Now step 2, this one. Here we have C. Here we are adding the device whose attenuation is to be measured. Right, in the previous slide we don't have that. We have to include here device whose attenuation is to be measured between frequency meter and slotted line, which is step 2. This is step 1. See, here we have microwave source, attenuator, frequency meter, device whose attenuation is to be measured. We are adding this between these two blocks. So in the previous slides, we don't have between these two blocks device whose attenuation is to be measured. Okay, this is step 2. So in the power and in the attenuation measurements, we have a drawback. In the power and attenuation measurements, we have a drawback. Why we will get the drawback from that means the power and the attenuation measurements may not be accurate. The power and attenuation measurements may not be accurate. when the input power is low and the attenuation of the network is large. When the input power is low and the attenuation of the network is large. The next one is RF substitution method. RF substitution method. In this method, the measurement of attenuation takes place in 3 steps. In the RF substitution method, the measurement of attenuation takes place in 3 steps. Step 1. The output power of the whole microwave bench. The output power of the whole microwave bench is measured with the network whose attenuation has to be calculated. The output power of the whole microwave bench is measured with the network whose attenuation has to be calculated. Step 2, coming to step 2. The output power of the whole microwave bench is measured by replacing the network with a precision calibrated attenuator. Measured by replacing the network with a precision calibrated attenuator. Next, step 3. Now, this attenuator is adjusted to obtain the same power as measured with the network. Step 3 is this attenuator is adjusted to obtain the same power as measured with this network. You need to remember the output power of the whole microwave bench is measured with the network whose attenuation has to be calculated. Step 2 is the output power of the whole microwave bench is measured by replacing the network with a precision calibrated attenuator. And the last step is this attenuator is adjusted to obtain the same power as measured with the network. As measured with the network. We need to see the 3 steps in diagrammatic representation. So first, step 1, RF substitution method. What is the step 1? The output power of the whole microwave bench is measured with the network. See, that only we included here. These are same as it is. There is no change in that. Just we need to keep between these two network whose attenuation is to be measured. Okay, that is step 1. Then step 2. What is the step 2? You need to remember the output power of the whole microwave bench is measured by replacing the network with a precision calibrated attenuator, which means that which is a variable precision attenuator. So that only you need to keep between frequency meter and started line blocks. Between these two blocks, you need to include variable precision attenuator. Okay. Then step 2 is completed from RF substitution method. Next. What is the step 3? Step 3 is this attenuator is adjusted to obtain same power as measured with the network. With the network. Then what will happen after the adjusted value? We discussed from the step 3. We are going to adjusting, right? The adjusted value on attenuator which gives the attenuation of the network directly. The adjusted value on the attenuator gives the attenuation of the network directly. The drawback in the methods is avoid here and hence this is a better procedure to measure the attenuation. Next, measurement of phase shift. Measurement of phase shift. In practical working conditions, there might occur a phase. There might occur a phase change in the signal from the actual signal. In practical working condition, there might occur a phase change in the signal from the actual signal. To measure such phase shift, we use a comparison technique by which we can calibrate the phase shift. So to measure such phase shifts, we use a comparison technique by which we can calibrate the phase shift. The setup to calculate the phase shift, just you need to see the diagram. Here, after the microwave source generates, see the diagram carefully. After the microwave source generates the signal, it passed through H plane T. So here we have a junction. You need to see here we have a junction, right? So this side and this side, because that is a need to call this is a H plane T junction. After the microwave source generates the signal, it is passed through an H plane T junction from which one port is connected to the network whose phase shift is to be measured, and the other port is connected to an adjustable precision phase shifter, or you need to call calibrated precision phase shifter. You need to observe carefully. This microwave source passed through H plane T junction from which one port is connected to the network whose phase shift is to be measured, and the other port is connected to the adjustable precision phase shifter or calibrated precision phase shifter. Okay. The modulated output is a 1 kilohertz sine wave. The modulated output is a 1 kilohertz sine wave which is observed in the CRO connected, which means that you need to connect this to CRO. From that you will able to see the output value. So this phase shift is adjusted such that its output of 1 kilohertz sine wave also matches the above. After the matching is done by absorbing in the dual mode CRO, this precision phase shifter gives us the reading of phase shift. This is clearly understood by the coming figure. See, the phase shift is observed clearly by this figure. Due to second part. What is the phase shift? You need to see just. Okay, this is the output of C. Output of the phase shift. This procedure is the mostly used one in the measurement of phase shift. This procedure is the mostly used one in the measurement. Now let us see how to calculate the VSWR. Now let us see how to calculate the VSWR, measurement of VSWR. In any microwave practical applications, in any microwave practical applications, any kind of impedance mismatches lead to the formation of standing waves. Formation of standing waves. In any microwave practical applications, any kind of impedance mismatches leads to the formation of standing waves. The strength of the standing waves is measured by voltage standing wave ratio. Voltage standing wave ratio. Voltage standing wave ratio. The ratio of the definition of this VSWR, voltage standing wave ratio, is defined as the ratio of maximum to minimum voltage, which gives the VSWR, which is denoted by S. S is equals to V maximum divided by V minimum, which is equals to 1 plus rho divided by 1 minus rho. If you want to represent a voltage standing wave ratio in terms of reflection coefficient, means you need to represent like 1 plus rho divided by 1 minus rho, whereas rho is reflection coefficient. Reflection coefficient. Okay. The reflection coefficient is defined as the ratio of reflected coefficient to incident coefficient. P reflected divided by P incident. Okay. So the measurement of VSWR, can be done in two ways. What are those? low VSWR and high VSWR measurements. Low VSWR measurements and high VSWR measurements. How to divide this and how to done into two ways. So based on measurement of VSWR S value. If the S value is less than 10 means, if the S value is less than 10 means, then you need to call that is low VSWR. Low VSWR. If the S value is greater than 10, then you need to call that is high VSWR measurement. So the measurement of low VSWR is less than 10. So in this, the measurement of low VSWR can be done by adjusting the attenuator, can be done by adjusting the attenuator to get a reading on a DC millivoltmeter, which is VSWR meter, VSWR meter. The readings can be taken by adjusting the slotted line and the attenuator in such a way that the DC millivoltmeter shows a full scale reading as well as a minimum reading. A DC millivoltmeter shows a full scale reading as well as a minimum reading. Now these two readings are calculated to find out the VSWR of the network. So this is measurement of low VSWR is less than 10. Then the measurement of high VSWR is greater than 10. The measurement of high VSWR whose value is greater than 10 can be measured by a method calling the double minimum method. I'll repeat again. The measurement of high VSWR whose value is greater than 10 can be measured by a method called the double minimum method. In this method, the reading at minimum value is taken. And the readings at the half point of minimum value in the crest before and the crest after also taken. You need to see that point. See, here we have. See, crest before, crest after, twice minimum power points here we have. Crest before, crest after, you need to take like this. Okay. This is shown in this figure. Find before and after, you need to take. After and before. Now the VSW are calculated. By a relation given as VSWR is equals to lambda G divided by pi into D2 minus D1. where lambda G is the guided wavelength. Lambda g is the guided wavelength, where the lambda g is equals to lambda naught divided by 1 minus lambda naught divided by lambda c. You need to see this. Lambda g is equals to lambda naught divided by square root of 1 minus lambda naught divided by lambda c square. This square is only for this only. Lambda naught divided by lambda c. This 1 by 2 means this is a square root. Lambda naught divided by square root of 1 minus lambda naught divided by lambda c whole square for this only. Where lambda naught is equals to c divided by f. Okay na? Okay na? Where lambda naught is equals to c divided by f. As the two minimum points are being considered here, this is called as double minimum method. Here we have a D2, D1. Now let us learn about the measurement of impedance. Now let us learn measurement of impedance. That we will discuss in the next class, right? That we will discuss in the next class, measurements of impedance. Okay, na? That we will see in the next class.